So I'll share with you. I think we sort of had the idea when we were talking about it on Friday. But the whole idea of like an escape room interview, I'm really looking down that to see what would it take for that to be like an option.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, no, I think that would be a good thing. The problem is we got companies getting, I don't know,
you don't know what they're getting. You don't know how you're gauging it.
As an interviewer, and you're telling me I'd have to go into this room, because you can't withhold that from somebody.
You don't have to say anything about it. I mean, put it this way, you could say happy hour, social networking piece, or maybe they don't do it in isolation, you do it with a few folks from the team.
Right.
Like, oh, why don't you go to this team building exercise that the company's having?
Yeah.
And then you kind of see how they work and function. Now, odds are, I think the biggest thing is, if someone knows they're being examined and tested, then you try to put on, your best behavior.
Well, it's the same way as an assessment, too, so.
Well, put it this way. If you know you're being interviewed, you're putting on your best face as far as the interview face. Well, if you're not being interviewed, or you don't think you're being interviewed, then you kind of like laid back and not as many walls up. Same idea though. The things that I'm looking into are how do you characterize everything? So in other words, like if someone took an escape room, how do you measure their performance? By the fact that they get out or not? Because different companies care about different things, right?
I think it's just different positions. So I think we can. So I think what companies are looking for in interviews are looking for traits. Okay, and I think that's what they have the assessment. So if we were to give them, let's say that, hey, we just watched them through, we analyzed kind of what their behavior was, their activity, their energy, and things like that. This is what I say their strengths are, and this is what I say their weaknesses are. Okay. So strengths are, it could be, very positive energy. Use the resources that are available. Really wanted to find a way out or find a solution to it. And that may be something that they take and for themselves, and then go see if that fits their position that they're looking for, or something.
So in other words, there's like a profile, let's say, for someone that takes this, and then they see if that matches what position they actually have.
Yeah, what they're looking for. So I think companies they just want to look for profiles. Okay. And see if that. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's interesting. The questions I would have to follow that up would be, have the companies identified like those profiles already? Like usually you have, let's say, a rec.
That's why they have the assessments that they already take.
Okay.
When the companies that they make the applicants take those assessments, they.
As far as like skill set?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think most companies should have profiles for each position that they're looking at.
Okay. All right. And then usually traditionally you have like a set of interview questions that you actually go through to ascertain it. Like from what I remember.
Verified. So the assessment usually comes first. Okay. And then they get a profile of what the assessment tells them and what they're good at. And then most assessments actually automatically generate some follow-up questions to ask during the interview to verify that they're actually good at what the assessment is telling us.
Okay. So do you find like within your role that everything's very procedural, like it follows like this plan like all the way throughout?
I think I don't have to ask. I'm a conversational interviewer, so I just want to have a conversation, and then I'll actually mix in some of those. From the assessment. And just talk about things, and a lot of things that people tell me from conversations. A lot of people, they tell me whatever I want.
Oh yeah, you ask a question and that's like Pandora's box.
No, it's not even, it's softening people up, making them feel like I'm their neighbor, and then some of them, when you do that, I mean, they just
open up.
They just really open up. I've had people tell me about their cousin, when their parents passed away, and like how they did it. I'm just like, they just completely forgot we're in an interview.
All right, no, that's good.
Completely forgot we're in an interview, and that's fine. That's what I want, because I need to see kind of how personable they are, and that kind of stuff, and kind of really, and they don't realize that they're doing it. Like I'll talk
That's good.
sports, like an interview, like I'll talk sports with people.
Oh yeah, that's the first thing to open folks
I'll
up.
talk sports with people. I'll talk, hey, what are your hobbies? And then just, just go from there. So my interviews are like 45 minutes to an hour. That's all we're doing is just talking.
Okay. No, that's good.
But most companies that have profiles, so already for each position.
Okay.
So. Because there are actually some positions where teamwork actually isn't really a necessary thing, because if they're mostly going to be on their own, they need to see that they can work by themselves.
Okay.
And do they need any direction? And so, like, that's an example right there.
Oh, okay.
Whereas if somebody, we put as a negative, well, he doesn't have teamwork, well, that's not the position.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I remember I had a very similar tactic for when we're doing interviews. We didn't have any questions really to answer, so you kind of come up with your own. And I came up with some off the wall stuff, not to sort of stump anyone, but I think this one person came in and I'm trying to remember, it's been a while ago. I need to get a sense of how she thought, and I asked her some information about technology, you love the iPhone. Okay, so if you're trying to sell somebody on the iPhone that's an Android person or whatever, and your iPhone, how do you make them make the switch? What's better about iPhone than Android? And even though she said how much she loved her phone and everything, that one kind of stumped her. She didn't really know the features that she was really going to talk to. Kind of stumbled over a little bit over that. So even though it was something that she was a proponent of, she kind of had a difficult time.
Yeah.
Getting over the hump.
I've asked people that too. Hey, how would you convince me of this? And I stumped a lot of people, and then at the very end, they asked me. One person asked me, "Well, just out of curiosity, I was kind of stumped on this question. How would you sell it?" I was like, "Well, what do you use your phone for? What's the most important thing you use your phone for?" "Oh, this, and this." "Okay, let me tell you why this will work for you."
That's it. It's like peeling an onion.
Yeah. It's just very, very simple. It's just what are you using the phone for? All right, this is why. Have you heard about this? Have you heard about that? Have you heard about the simplicity of this? And why this works with most of our applications and things like that. So, I've done I've used iPhones before. It's just Android. Just like I said, I like.
And that's the thing. The thing that's good about it is that question is if you preferred one over the other, just explain why.
Yeah.
That's literally all it is. So. Yeah.
I'm not too big on closed-mindedness. I do like testing, and I understand the concept of, well, it works for me. Why would I change it? I get it, but you got to broaden your scope a little.
Put it this way, it's my wife. We talked about something very similar. She was talking about how some folks she works with don't have this concept of empathy, and the whole idea of it is I think you have to experience something that humbles you in order to appreciate empathy. Otherwise, if you've been given everything you've ever wanted and you haven't had to struggle, then you're not going to feel bad if X, Y, and Z happen.
You're not going to understand.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to understand the struggle. And
so honestly, that's the same thing I believe with closed-mindedness versus growth. If you're put between a rock and a hard place, if you're closed-minded, you might just feel like I don't have the answer, I give up.
Yeah.
Versus trying to come up with something new that
I need to figure this out, or I need to figure out a better way to do this. No, I get you.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I get you.
So honestly, that's why I'm a huge fan of the escape rooms, and why I was particularly interested in bringing Patrick the first time, because you knew he wasn't going to go, right?
Yeah, he was all against it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so very surprised he
I had to twist his arm.
Yeah. I know. And and then I was very surprised that he recommended it.
Yeah. I was like, hey, it's going to be outside your comfort zone.
Oh, absolutely.
But the one thing that I saw that I knew he would love it the moment he did it. Remember the game that Mike brought in with it wasn't cars, it was 3D colored shapes, and they went into this grid.
Okay, yeah.
And Mike brought that in, and Patrick was doing it, and me, I kind of looked at the book, and I'm just like, okay, well, I see how this works. Like, I just looked up the answer. I was like, I'm not going to spend all day on this.
Yeah, right.
And Pat's like, no, let me figure it out. And I was like, well, you got to give yourself a time limit, or else you're not going to do anything else for the next couple days. So I like finally found it and showed it to him. I was like, oh. So I'm just like, for the fact that he loves solving problems.
Yeah, I thought, well, initially when Patrick was like, oh no, I don't want to do it, I'm like, you would love this stuff. Like, you love solving.
That's it.
Love solving stuff.
That's it. So it was good to get him out because I think it's different enough from bowling, like almost the opposite. Because bowling, you don't want to think. These games, you want to think, but you don't want to focus too deeply on any one thing.
You don't want to spend a lot of time on one.
Nope.
That's the key. You want to try to keep it as
you got to be willing to fail as quickly as possible.
Fail as quickly as possible. That's a quote I heard from Gary Vee.
Oh, did you?
You want to fail first and fail quickly.
Yep.
You're going to do it. It's going to happen.
Just be open to it. That's the open mindset piece. It's like, what do you mean fail? No, I can't do it. I can't do it.
And do it quick. Do it quick and.
That's it.
I love listening to Gary Vee talk.
No, he's magnetic. I got to see him. They have like a speaker series where they had actually Gary Vee, Tony Robbins, and a few other folks at George Mason. I think this might have been maybe about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And it was a speaker series, so it ran like 5-6 hours. Tony Robbins is a freaking machine. Like, he does like 4 or 5 day, seminars like that. But it was good because you got a piece of everybody. It even had Robert Herbajek on
from Shark Tank.
Yeah, from Shark Tank. He was there too. Yep. So they had a lot of folks there. So they got definitely a lot of variety in there. But everyone had something really interesting to say. I'm still kind of going through the notes that I wrote, kind of like pulling bits and pieces out. Because I write stuff down, but I don't always absorb it all. So I'll go back and look at that as my reference point.
Yeah, I was listening to Tony Robbins when I was younger, just trying to figure everything out in regards to like management and things like that. One of the things that stuck with me is, your business doesn't fail because of the people you hire. Your business fails because of the people you decide not to fire.
Yep.
I'm just thinking to myself, he's like, now he went more into that, but hey, if you're trying to go somewhere, but your employees are not holding you back, can't let that happen.
Hire slowly, fire quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I've learned that. Luckily, I've had a lot of people with me that has adapted and grown and seen the vision. So that's ultimately what you want.
Management is a very interesting position, just because you're dealing with the people dynamic, which you really don't know what you're going to hit. It's like
if you have an interview, I don't care if you talk to you for a couple of days until you actually work.
And that's why, that's why I'm a huge fan of that, because I forget who said it, but you learn more by watching someone play a game than you do in just
talking. Because anyone can talk.
Yes.
Anybody can tell you that they know stuff and tell you everything you want to hear.
So a few things I was even thinking of, ways you can structure the environment and change it, is because everything that an escape room does, you're looking for a response. So you're putting something out there, you're putting them in an enclosed space, how do they respond to being in an enclosed space? And then all these other things. Well, you can also engineer stuff in there. So what if you engineered something where they're not going to find their way out in the hour? How do they take that if maybe they only are limited to a certain number of hints, they don't have all the clues?
And we give companies like options. Hey, what escape room would you like to see based off whatever the position that they're looking for?
That's it. Because each room will test something different.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll have certain environments where someone's not going to get out. You have another environment where someone will have the option to get out quickly, but there might be something else they can figure out if they stay a little bit longer. But you can literally test like the full spectrum on a bunch of different things.
Yeah, we're good.